Man, it's been a good 4 locals, and I'm having so much fun with this Dinosaur Halqifibrax deck that I've been playing. But I wonder if there's any way we can fit Shaddolls into it. What is up YouTube, Jamie the Kid 00 here, coming at you guys with a brand new deck profile. So today we're going to be going through a deck list of the 2020 version of Dinosaur, Shaddoll Dinosaur, whichever spin you want to put on it. And I wanted to show you guys the preliminary list that I'm going to be testing a little bit on kind of Edo Pros and other dual sims going forwards. And of course, no deck profile would ever be complete without a quick shout out to our sponsor of today's video, and that is CARDMARKET.com. Today's video is sponsored by CARDMARKET.com. CARDMARKET.com is your one-stop shop for the European TCG market. Shop from all major card games in all major languages. I use CardMarket almost every day for my deck profile stocks and my ever-growing foreign collection. With CardMarket, you can search in all conditions, all rarities, and all languages. Check out the link to their site in the description down below. CardMarket is also sponsoring free giveaways on my Facebook page, so be sure to check out that page in the link below. Play hard and trade smart with CardMarket.com. So without too much further ado, I just kind of wanted to get into the list because it's going to be a mashup of a couple of my more popular deck profiles. So those of you guys who've seen a lot of my content will probably recognise a lot of my thoughts on these cards. So we're going to start off with 2 copies of Ultimate Conductor Tyranno because this is a split engine deck, because of course I'm going to have found some room for the Shaddoll cards. We actually don't find our way to this quite so often. In the previous list of Dinosaur Pure, I've actually found myself wanting to play almost 3 of this because it comes up so darn often. Now, I think 2 of these is very acceptable with the numbers that I'm playing in this current list. So, if anyone else has been having a similar issue, you can definitely step down to 2. Continuing in, we then still play 3 copies of the Soul-Eating Oviraptor. So this deck gets into its Shaddoll combo by achieving the same game state as the normal Wind Barrier deck. So you still need to max out on 3 copies of the Oviraptor and the Miscellaneousaurus to get those combos going. Your Halqifibrax is essentially free access to any Shaddoll fusion monster. So if you can get there using any combination of Miscellaneousaurus or Oviraptor, it's just busted. So they kind of speak for themselves in why they're good. In terms of the other monsters that we're using to support the archetype, I'm still fooling around with a Giant Rex. This is largely optional, and with this list being, I believe, 42 cards, you could definitely cut this down. It's really, really cute to abuse with cards like Ultimate Conductor Tyranno and Double Evolution Pill, so that's kind of why I like Giant Rex's behaviour in the list, because it gives you a lot of resources. When in your mid to late game, you can sometimes start to burn out, so I quite like the interaction it has. Then we had to make cuts somewhere, so our baby dinosaur engine has slimmed down a little bit. We're now only playing the 2 baby Cerosaurus and then the 1 Petit Pteranodon. This is an interesting one. So the baby Cerosaurus, of course, it is self-explanatory, but I was looking at a few of the cards in the list so far, and the Petit Pteranodon, with the fact that it gives you access to larger monsters, has really been giving me different ideas. Now, of course, I can't find it lying around on the desk while I'm recording, but I'm very intrigued by what I could do with the deck if I was able to shove the newly released Chaos Dragon into this list. I can't find it, but the Chaos Ruler from the newest set. If I could get this to, say, pull me a 7 out of the deck, like, I don't know, Pancratops, if I'm going first and it's not all that useful, I can get the Pancratops out. Things like Miscellaneousaurus could get me into a Jirac Aeolo. I could end up making that Chaos Dragon and starting to mill some Shaddolls to get me some advantage. There's a lot of things going on in my head, and I reckon I could definitely get there. But Pteranodon, with the fact that it allows me to get to larger monsters, really makes me think about what I could do with some synchro toolboxing. So maybe watch this space, or let me know in the comment section down below what you're doing with that. Then continuing through, we are playing the 1 Jirac Aeolo and then the 1 copy of Animadorned Archosaur. Animadorned Archosaur is of course in here because you're going to be going into it as you go through your combo. It is a light monster to allow you to make Shaddoll Construct quite easily, and of course it's super easy access to your Ultimate Conductor Tyranno and the pills that make it, and of course its interactions with Petit Pteranodon or Baby Cerosaurus are absolutely disgusting. So really love this, but I think down to 1 is absolutely fine, because I think once we've resolved it the once, that's okay. And honestly, when I've been playing 2 in my pure dinosaur list, maybe it's just I'm bad at shuffling cards, but I'll often do this and already have a pill or an Ultimate Conductor in hand, so seeing the second one is absolutely useless. But that's about it for the monster lineup. In terms of the dinosaurs, anyway. I meant to say dinosaurs, but I said monsters, because they're monsters. Monsters of the past. So continuing through into the Shaddoll engine, I'm playing one of the smaller Shaddoll engines, and we'll see if I come to regret that. So we're playing 2 copies of Shaddoll Winda, because of course she's ridiculous, for your Shaddoll advantage combos, and she's just really, really strong in general at getting fuel onto the board. 2 copies of Shaddoll Squamata, because again, with a reduced engine, I feel like 2 is plenty. This is still the one that you really want to see as often as possible, especially because of the deck thinning that it causes, and it is essentially any Shaddoll name you want it to be, but the 2 Squamata have been enough for me in the past with reduced engines. The 1 Shaddoll Hedgehog, the 1 Dragon, I almost called it Shaddoll Dinosaur, the 1 Beast for our draw engine, the 1 Ariel for the Rest Shaddoll combo, which we still do use to gain us extra advantage, and then the 1 copy of Shaddoll Falco, which if you haven't, go back and check my Shaddoll combo video with Proxy F Magician in it. It's very important in dual engine lists that we leave ourselves a way to get through to a Shaddoll monster, and the interaction with Falco and the light tokens that Linkross generates you and the Proxy F Magician are absolutely bonkers. So you really should be playing this if you're playing a dual engine Shaddoll list. And then for the last, I guess, utility monster, we are playing the 1 copy of Mecha Phantom Beast, O'Lion. And then, of course, what list would be complete without some hand traps? We are usually targeting going second with this list, but it is very capable of going first with the Proxy F Magician. But for the hand traps we're playing at the moment, it's the 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, and the 3 copies of Effect Veiler. In some of these lists, I've not really been that big of a fan of Gamma and Impermanence recently, because I usually have monsters on the board whenever I want to make plays, and I'm not that big a fan of Gamma going second. So it is entirely up to you on what you can change. There is a large part of me that says that these Ash Blossoms could, of course, just be Gammas, and then they would be more light targets for your constructs. So it's definitely up to you. You can change that all around. This is just, consider it 6 placeholders for hand traps. Then for the spell lineup, the spells go as follows. The only one we're playing at the moment is Foolish Burial, because it's a utility card that gets us to a huge amount of our Shaddoll toolbox. And then, speaking of the Shaddoll toolbox, we're playing the 3 copies of Shaddoll Fusion, traditional Shaddoll Fusion, and then 2 copies of El-Shaddoll Fusion. El-Shaddoll Fusion is really only in there, for me at least, as 2 things. Your OTK support in terms of helping you push through for massive damage with things like Construct, or alternatively, allowing you to use it as a pseudo trap card to make Winda in your opponent's turn. That is also where Shaddoll Schism can come in, but for the moment we'll talk about that when we get to the trap lineup. In terms of the rest of the spells, we're playing the 2 double evolution pill, because of course we're only playing the 2 targets, so 2 is enough. You could easily go down to 1 as well, and it's something I'm very, very tempted to do with the 1 Archosaur, but I just love UCT so much, so it's a difficult pill to swallow, if you'll pardon the phrase. Then we're playing the 3 copies of Fossil Dig, because we absolutely have to open up with Miscellaneousaurus, Oviraptor, or one of the 2, and preferably both. So that is the full spell lineup. It's actually really, really small, because we're playing so many utility monsters instead. Then in terms of the trap lineup for the moment, all I'm actually playing is the 1 copy of Rest Shaddoll Incarnation for the advantage combo. If I wanted to take this to 43 cards, or if I cut the Giant Rex or the extra pill, you could play the 1 copy of Shaddoll Schism, but I haven't really gotten to grips too often with Schism in how it best behaves with the list, so I don't feel as though it's the best fit in this variant so far, because I don't rush away to set this up. If I did, maybe this would be in here as an actual card in the list, but for the moment it's a theory card. We're playing 42 and we're just playing the 1 incarnation, but if you can cut a card and you feel happy you can set this up consistently, I think Schism is something that's definitely worth playing, because it's ridiculously OP. I just haven't found the right boards that it actually interacts with. I felt like it is something that's kind of just nice if I have it, but I would probably just prefer a combo card in most situations. Then for the extra deck, it is as follows. So we're playing 2 copies of El-Shaddoll Construct. You could definitely bump this up to 3, but for the moment I find myself in theory only making the 2, but if we start leaning into the Proxy F Magician starting board a lot more, or the deck redevelops into a list that wants to go hard first, I think the 2 El-Shaddoll Construct could definitely become 3 in substitution of one of the 2 copies of El-Shaddoll Winda that I'm playing. The thing that pushed the 3rd construct out was the extra Winda, Winda, and for the moment I really like the strength that Winda has, her inability to be destroyed by card effects, and the fact that she locks down so many combo decks in the metagame right now without you really having to set up a huge combo board is kind of crazy. So I really love Winda and what she brings to the list. And then the final El-Shaddoll I'm playing at the moment is one app cologne for those hands where things are just kind of slow. You've only got Shaddoll Monsters to hand, and of course when you're making it with El-Shaddoll Fusion, it is a free effect negate which comes up alarming amount. Then for Link Monsters, we're playing the one copy of Linkross to of course go with our Crystron Halka Fibrax. So Crystron Halka Fibrax in this deck behaves very similarly to most of the list, except for the fact that of course you're going to use the Halka Fibrax to get into your Linkross but you're going to be summoning a Falco off of this, and then you're going to be making plays towards a Proxy F Magician, which is pretty crazy. I really like the way that all interacts with that combo. We're then playing the one copy of Darling Tony. I always call it Darling Tonia Cobra, like the effect monster. Verte Anaconda. No, we're not playing Dragoon just yet. That will be a whole nother kettle of fish when that card comes around, believe you me. We're mainly just playing this in here as a utility card to get us to our fusion spells as and when we don't have access. And we are side decking 3 copies of Super Polymerization, so that's why that is in there for the Super Poly interaction. Then no deck that fusion summons would be complete without our very own Cross Sheep. So Cross Sheep always finds a slot in here. The advantage system that it can generate with the Halka Fibrax combo that gets you to Herald of the Arclight as well is kind of cute because you can summon a fusion monster behind it, res your Arclight from the grave, and it's just really strong for that. We're then playing the one copy of Proxy F Magician again for that going first play. It is kind of necessitated, like I said, when you're playing a smaller Shaddoll engine because it helps get you to that name, get you into that construct, and get the deck moving. Then the one copy of the Omni removal card that is Nightmare Unicorn. Again, very self-explanatory. The one, Appaloosa, because this deck doesn't really need all that help going second, because it is an absolute OTK machine with cards like El-Shaddoll Fusion for Construct and Ultimate Conductor Tyranno being super accessible. What we do need help with is going first. We can't slow our opponent down all that much, so that's where the one Appaloosa comes in. Then we had to choose one Xyz monster out of Dweller, Largia, Dolka, and I felt like Dolka comes up the most. I'm probably going to want to move towards Largia, depending on the spell traps that come along to stop the board, but at the moment I'm primarily getting Dark Ruler no more, so like Largia has no benefit on that anyway, and there aren't really that many other cards that I want to stop entirely because things like Lightning Storm don't affect Winda anyway, so the Dolka's been the stronger pick for me in my opinion. And then we play 2 Synchro Monsters in the form of one Martial Metal Marcher and the one Herald of the Arclight because of the advantage systems that they generate for us. Martial Metal Marcher is absolutely essential for that going first Proxy F Magician play, and Herald of the Arclight, if you can get into it, you can abuse with Cross Sheep. So that does bring me to about the end of the profile. I hope you have all enjoyed. If you have, please leave me a like down below. Big shout out again to CardMarket.com for sponsoring the video and sponsoring the channel, supporting me and making all of the wonderful profiles that I'm able to bring you happen. Hope you have all enjoyed. Subscribe if you were new here and you want to see more of this sort of thing, and I will see you guys next time for some more Yu-Gi-Oh! Related content. It's been Jamie the Kid 00. You guys have been a wonderful audience. Peace out. Bye-bye.